In the employee report, we will have 3 inputs that the user can select, and we will be setting those inputs up in this video. To begin, let's create a new sheet, and then we will name it as employee report. And then we will start building our inputs right here. So I'm just going to type in employee, and then this is where we are going to have the employee name selection, and then we will have the start date and then the end date. So let's say, for example, I want to put this as January 1st, 2018, and then I want it until November 3rd, and then let's say the employee name is employee 1. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of formatting to make it clear which ones are input cells. So I'm just gonna do something like this, and then these, let's center them and then do the borders. Okay, so this is what we are going to call as input cells. Let's just apply something like that. And then we will actually have to name them. So let's create, so before we name them, let's maybe put a drop-down list to this employee name cell. So we already learned how to do the drop-down list. So go to data validation, and then here in settings, choose list. And we want this to be the list of employee names. And we already have that here. So now we have done, save it, keep saving it. And so now we have the drop-down list enabled. We're not going to do any restrictions or data validation, but you could do, if you want, go in data validation and then choose date, and then make sure that if you want to limit the user to choose between a date range, you could do this, or you could say greater than or equal to January 1st, 2018, because then that would tell the user that only those are valid dates. I'm gonna skip that step as it's not critical for what I'm building right now, but if in your case you want to put some restrictions on dates, you can also do that as well. Now let's just name these cells now. So I'm going to name the first input cell as I_ER_EMP. So I standing for input, ER stands for employee report. That's the sheet we are in. And then EMP is the input is going to be an employee name. So let's save that. And then this one, I'm going to call it I_ER_start. And then this one, we will name it as I_ER_end. And then we will just change the format of these so that just like what we have done before, the dates are clearly shown. And we will do EDMMMYYY, for example, so it's clearly visible. I'm going to save this. So now we have established the 3 inputs and then also named them so that we can use it in the formulas. We have also implemented a drop-down list data validation for the employee list. So we are going to build the calculations later so that the report only represents data for this employee between these 2 dates, right? So if you want this to report to automatically always show up-to-date data, instead of the end date being a user populated cell, you can just type in a formula and say today. And since today, I mean, today is 12th November, and so it automatically populates 12. Tomorrow, when I open the file, it'll become 13th November. So automatically, the report will always show up-to-date data if you make the end date to be calculated as today. But if you want the end date to be chosen by the user every time, then we don't have to put the formula in there. Instead, you will hard code it to something, and then the user can change it if they want to. So that's a quick tip. If you want the report to automatically pull up-to-date data, put a formula in the end date. Now let's move on to the next step.